It's a mind-blowing day in the world of Magic the Gathering. Wizards of the Coast has just made a massive change to the Commander rule set. On top of that, they have revealed some absolutely insane spoilers from Edge of Eternities and a truly crazy card from the upcoming Avatar set. And that's not even all the news we're going to talk about today.
Magic.
I am a wizard!
History.
I'm an old wizard!
The Magic Historian.
My bones hurt. Greetings! Owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for a thick and juicy installment of Mega Magic News. Now, first things first, obviously the green screen issue that I had yesterday is still persisting, so we're going to have more of a boring background this time around. You'll actually see later on in the video that the green screen is still around and causing me problems. I'm going to have to take the whole thing apart with a screwdriver because it will not go back down into its case. So the nightmare continues. But rest assured, soon enough, we will have the glorious background back. So today we've got big news. We've got big changes to the Commander rule set, and it's something that I actually predicted happening. We've got news about changes to the contents of play boosters. There's a new draft format that Wizards has come up with, and a whole bunch of spoilers to talk about. It's pretty wild the pace we're going at, right? Wizards of the Coast is just flooding us with spoilers and cards and product, and if you are finding it difficult to keep up because Magic has gotten quite expensive, well, I have a great solution for you that will make the game more affordable. Check out my sponsor. Tolarian Library is your go-to location for high-quality Magic the Gathering proxy cards. Whether you want them for playtesting purposes or just so you don't have to swap around cards from Commander deck to Commander deck, Tolarian Library has your back. They use black cores for the proxy cards, which ensures a nice, flat, smooth surface card even on the foils. You can visit them using the link down in the description and use the code MYBONESHURT for 10% off. And buyers outside of the US also get bonus French black bordered dual lands included in their order. And yes, you can still pretend to be Post Malone. Oh my word, are you Post Malone? No. But you got them squiggles on your face and you're holding the one-of-one ring. You got me, girl. I knew it was you. Can we hook up? Yeah, girl. Tolarian Library is not responsible for unwanted children. So, Commander rule change. Big issue. This one is where Wizards of the Coast has turned around and said, going forwards, vehicles and spacecraft can be your commander. Now, I know it's going to be a double head scratcher where you're going to go, wait. Sorry, vehicles can be my commander? And wait, did you just say spacecraft? Spacecraft aren't even a thing. Well, they are now, friends. I figured we'd cover the rule change now. We're going to look at an actual spacecraft, a Magic the Gathering spaceship later in the video. But Wizards has officially changed the rules so that you can use a legendary vehicle or a legendary spacecraft as your commander. And I told you guys this was going to happen. And it's going to be a progression like this. Once Wizards of the Coast took over Commander, I knew you can no longer trust the integrity of the format. They're not going to make decisions based on what's best for Commander. They're going to make decisions based on what's best for their bottom line. So what's happening right now is the exact same thing that happened when they put out the Dominaria set years ago and created the Brawl format, where they went, yo. So we've made this brand new standard version of Commander where you can use any legendary dude as your standard commander, and this is Brawl, get into it. And then they just let it fall by the wayside. They just came up with that because they wanted people to buy Dominaria, not because they thought it was a genuinely viable format that would stick around. They just let it languish and fall apart. It was a long time before Wizards turned around and fixed Brawl. So now we have a scenario where when they designed this set, they didn't know spacecraft could be commanders, right? Because they only took over the Commander Rules Committee, like, situation situation within the last year, right? It's been less than a year, I believe. So sets take at least 2 or 3 years to design. Wizards of the Coast had no idea. They just decided at the last minute, wait, we're in charge of Commander now. So yeah, make spacecrafts and vehicles legendaries into commanders. And it will progress like that. We'll get to the point where you're going to be able to use legendary enchantments as your commander. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we get to the point where you could somehow use legendary lands as your commander. And it will progress to the point until essentially anything can be your commander, right? So on one hand, it's goofy. From a flavor perspective, the idea is like, who runs this army? That dirt bike over there. Sorry, what? That dirt bike is in charge of your army. Yeah, but you gotta listen, man. That dirt bike is really cool. It's one of a kind. Oh, like it's like legendary level. But it's just like a dirt bike with no brain. Yup. And it runs your army. Yup, it's my commander. Hail, chief, I love you. Vroom, vroom, beep, beep. Like, it, from a flavor perspective, is goofy. But at this point, Commander is already insanely goofy, right? You literally have, hey, check it out, Transformers and My Little Ponies and all kinds of insane goof baggery. So while it is a flavor jork, Commander players don't care that much. And I imagine there's going to be very few people who genuinely have an issue with this happening, aside from the obvious flavored dumbness. But you guys know me. Anybody who's been watching the channel for a long time remembers my reaction when vehicles originally came out. You remember my Kaladesh rant videos. So I've always been weirded out by that stuff. But that is a big rules change that fundamentally shifts what you can use as your commander now, right? And doesn't even have to be a creature anymore. It's just boom, here you go. I mean, technically, they had the planeswalkers. Some of them you could use as commanders, but those were people, right? Like Teferi's a person. He can tell you what to do. He's not a motocross bike. God, we're going to get to that point, aren't we? 2 years from now, I'm going to be like, guys, I didn't know there was going to be a dirt bike commander deck when I said what I said. We're living in a bizarre timeline. Okay, so we've talked about the massive rules change. Now, let's talk about some other changes that are going on. Play boosters have changed. Art cards are out. You can no longer get art cards in play boosters, and no, Wizards hasn't replaced it with anything. So they're just like, no more art cards. No more art cards. I think you can still get tokens though. But yeah, no more art cards and play boosters. They will be for collector boosters only. So I like art cards. For me, it's a bit of a disappointment to see them go that way, right? Where it's like, I won't be able to get as many art cards. I do use them to crown champions in the live streams and stuff, so they've worked out quite well for me, but I imagine most people aren't going to care about that change. And for the people who do want them, they're still collectible items in collector boosters. And if you want them to have value, theoretically, them only being available in collector boosters might make them worth a little bit of something, right? I don't know. I don't know 100% on that. So, next item on the list is 4-player draft format. Wizards of the Coast just announced a 4-player draft format within the last 24 hours, and it's actually really simple. They're just, okay, get 4 people, do like you would do a normal draft, but pick 2 cards per pack. It's just like, we spent a lot of time thinking about this. Did you? Or did you just go, well, there's 8 people, now we got 4 people. If 8 people pick 1 card, just have 4 people pick 2 cards? Okay, bro. So, I don't know if that's a precursor, if that means we've got another weird conspiracy side set coming on, if they just decided we'll get it down to 4 people and then we can get commander pods turning into draft pods as well. Because Wizards changing draft boosters into, like going set boosters, draft boosters, and then changing draft boosters into play boosters has not succeeded in revitalizing draft. Draft is still languishing, and Wizards wants that money, okay? So, speaking of wanting that money, they are flooding us with new cards to check out. Let's take a look at the Edge of Eternity spoilers, and on top of that, the Avatar Last Airbender spoilers. We're starting out our Edge of Eternity spoilers with Sothera, the Super Void, which is a card that's crucial to the story of the set, but more importantly, is broken. 2 black and 2 for a legendary enchantment that says, whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent chooses a creature they control and exile it. All by itself, that is already completely insane, right? We already have an enchantment in Magic called Grave Pact, where 3 black and 1, it's an enchantment that says, whenever one of your creatures dies, each opponent has to sacrifice a creature. This just says, exile them. take them straight out of the game, which is bonkers. And then you've got this part, which is both a technical drawback, but also a big upside, right? So at the beginning of your end step, if a player controls no creatures, sacrifice Cathara, then put a creature card exiled with it onto the battlefield under your control with 2 additional +1/+1 counters on it. So this card will literally eat your opponent's creatures one by one, and then when it goes, oh, look at who it kicked out of the void. That's the idea, is everybody's being sucked into this crazy black hole, and then one person emerges from it. And there are rumblings that Wizards might be doing something insane with this story, like trying to bring Yawgmoth back by having him come out of the super void. So this is a card to keep your eyes on from a flavor perspective and obviously from a gameplay perspective. There will be times where this is useless, but the only time it's useless is when your opponent has no creatures on the board whatsoever, which is usually a good position to find yourself in. I feel like this is one of those cards that surprisingly actually gets weaker in Commander. In one way, it's stronger because it hits everybody, right? And you're getting all the players, but at the same time, you have 3 other opponents, and just one of them not having a creature means this is going to go away. So depending on whether you want this to be out all the time as much as possible, or whether you're just using it to try and grab one of your opponent's dudes, it's going to vary how much you want this card, but ultimately the power level on this is off the chain, and the artwork is pretty wild as well, right? The whole space concept is strange in Magic, but at least this particular piece of art, it kind of evokes old insanity like the original Stasis artwork, right? After that, we have Mutavault. So this is from the reprint list of what they're doing. So they have the special side list, and as an added little funny note to me, I was actually watching the grand reveal stream yesterday, and there was this huge buildup before they showed the Mutavault. The guy, I don't remember exactly what he said, but to paraphrase, basically he was a card that hasn't seen a reprint in a while. We're bringing back this epic amazingness. Behold, Mutavault! And the crowd, crickets, bro. Chirping. You could have heard a pin drop. But the thing was, I didn't know 100%. I'm like, is it the audience? Is it that nobody really cares about Mutavault? For me, my initial gut reaction was Mutavault. Who cares? Like, Mutavault is a good card, but its dominance, it being a super important card, those days are over. And they led with this. They thought this was going to be this massive hype thing. Also, notice the little spaceship that's flying up on it. I think that all the cards from this special set will have a little goof bag, Rocket Boy on there, right? But either way, they totally missed the mark with Mutavault. Nobody reacted, and it was made very clear when they revealed the next thing they did, which was the Shocklands. Now, it's unclear whether they're doing the full cycle of 10 Shocklands or just 5 Shocklands, but they showed the Shocklands on the screen, and people started going, what? And went crazy. So it shows you that they totally missed the mark with the Mutavault. And honestly, some people, now that I'm talking about it, take a look at the actual type line for Mutavault. This might annoy people the same way the Invocations from Amonkhet did, right? But either way, the Shocklands are back, so they're going to be easy and accessible. Obviously, they're going to be more space themed, so if you're somebody who wants that kind of stuff, it kind of almost feels like there's just random leftover Unfinity stuff kind of jammed into Edge of Eternity. Some of it feels like it's made for the set, and some of it doesn't. And we have more spoilers to look at too, so this will be emphasized when we get to Sammy, really. So this is a big one, guys. This is introducing a brand new card type to the game. This is the Seriema. It is a legendary artifact spacecraft. So spacecraft are akin to vehicles, but not identical. So 2 white and 1. And you'll notice it has the power and toughness down here, 5/5, but it doesn't start as a creature. It just starts out as a regular artifact. So when it enters, you search your library for a legendary creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So it's just 3 mana to tutor for any legendary. And then it's got the station ability. Now we're going to see this ability across a bunch of cards, the same way you would see crew across a bunch of vehicles. So station works like this. Tap another creature you control, put charge counters equal to its power on the spacecraft. Station only as a sorcery. It's an artifact creature at 7+. So think of it like almost permanent crewing. You can tap a creature, like normally if you had crew 4, you would have to have 4 powers worth of creatures to crew them, right? But with this, you could have a 1/1 and tap it, and then you put a counter on this. And once you basically get up to 7 counters on it, it activates and like turns into a creature. So you could either do that by slowly building up the power, or you can just have everybody man it all at once. What gets goofy is once you have one of these fully manned and turned into a creature, they can then station man other spacecraft and space stations, which feels really strange. Let's be like the whole card feels pretty strange to me. You know, having a spaceship flying through space in Magic the Gathering definitely is an odd feel. When it comes down to looking at the story for the set, it looks like Wizards is definitely trying to basically ignore that Magic exists and just be full on sci-fi with it. But this thing is insane. When you get 7 power counters on it, it becomes a 5/5 flyer, and not power counters, sorry, charge counters. That's what it uses. So when you have 7 or more counters on it, other top legendary creatures you control have indestructible. So boom, there you go. All my other top legendary dudes are indestructible. You go to destroy one, in response I'll use the tap ability, and you can't do nothing, right? So this is a lot tucked into 3 mana, and this is actually the spaceship of the crew of the main story. So this isn't even mythic, bro. Wait until you see the mythic level insanity we're gonna get, right? Next up, we've got Sammy's Ship's Engineer, and this is what I was talking about when I said it feels like Infinity artwork, right? Like, look at him. He's sitting there looking like a little goof boy with his cat and his silly little hair, and he's got like a robot he's working on with a bunch of stickers and stuff on him. So outer space artwork, the goofy nature of it, stickers, all that was in Infinity. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if Wizards of the Coast was like, well, use the artwork, who cares? Shove it into the space set. It's got space in the background. It really does evoke a more whimsical kind of vibe. So Sammy is the main character. He is the lead character of the story for Edge of Eternities. He's kind of underwhelming so far. 1 white, 1 red, and 2/4. He's uncommon. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, create a tapped 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. They made clown robot tokens in Infinity. This whole thing screams Infinity to me. It's kind of wild that such a main cat. Why, I never even noticed that cat pillow in the background behind the cat. Yeah, this is Infinity artwork. Let's be real. We got it, use it. They didn't even bother to make them rare. This is like a main character of the story, and like, just make them a whatever, uncommon. Pretty underwhelming, right? After that, we've got the Avatar spoiler action. So this is Avatar Aang, a blue, a white, a green, and a red for a 4/4 human avatar ally. He's an ally. That's wild. I was not expecting that. There are a bunch of cards, if you didn't know, from the earlier days, the Zendikar block, that actually care about allies. The creature type matters. There are tribal combinations around it. So he can literally go into a Zendikari tribal ally deck, which is so wild. So 4/4 flying, firebending 2. And whenever you waterbend, earthbend, firebend, or airbend, draw a card. Then if you've done all 4 this turn, transform Avatar Aang. So we don't know what bending is. There's no information on that yet. Firebending 2 could be an ability that triggers during your upkeep. It could be an ability that triggers at the beginning of your upkeep. It could be something that starts at the beginning of combat. It could be something that theoretically ultimately is a whenever you attack style ability. It could be when the creature's targeted. There's a lot. Each one could be different, right? It could be when you attack, firebending equals do damage equal to the firebending ability to any target, right? Things like that. I don't know 100%. But either way, anytime you do any kind of bending, you get to draw a card because Aang is the master of all of the elements. Avatar actually has a really cool storyline. I really enjoyed the original series. All right, so flavor text says, it's easy to do nothing. It's hard to forgive. Aang's in a rough spot. All of his people have been wiped out. He is literally the last airbender and also the avatar, the embodiment of all the elements. Pretty cool. So he transforms, right? Let's see what he turns into. Aang, Master of Elements, 6/6, legendary avatar ally with flying. Spells you cast cost 1 of every color less. At the beginning of each upkeep, you may transform Aang, Master of Elements. If you do, you gain 4 life, draw 4 cards, put 4+1/+1 counters on him, and he deals 4 damage to each opponent. This is really cool because if you've never seen the show, you don't know anything about it. Basically, Aang can't, at least at the beginning of the series, actively turn into the full-on Avatar Master of Elements. It essentially has to manifest itself under different conditions. But when it does, he turns into a god-tier being with absolutely bonkers abilities. He can wipe out entire naval fleets. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking, forget it. He's going to destroy everything you know and love. So having the whole, all of your stuff costs 1 less, and at the beginning of the upkeep, if you want to, you can flip them back over and go ahead and get 4 life, 4 cards, 4+1/+1 counters, and 4 damage to each opponent. I do like that mimics the 4 elements, right? You can go 4 life, you can go, okay, that's white, right? You can go, that's the white one, and then for earth or whatever, you've got drawing 4 cards, or no, 4+1/+1 counters. Waterbending would be the drawing 4 cards, and then 4 damage to each opponent would be firebending, right? So it does actually have a genuinely proper feel to it. But that wraps up all the spoiler cards we have today. I have to go ahead and take apart this stupid green screen wreckage with a screwdriver because it will not fold down and I can't get it out of my office. So I gotta go get that handled. I will be live tonight over on my live stream channel. You're welcome to come by and say hello. A big thank you to my patrons for supporting my channel. You guys rule. And I will see you all, my friends, in the next video.